The year of 1914 marked the dawn of aerial warfare with the start of World War I. The bombing raids and air battles, though important in the outcome of the war, were even more important for the glimpse they gave of the future. The lesson was clear. If you hold the air, you cannot be beaten. If you lose the air, you cannot win. In 1919, Glenn Curtiss made plans for an Atlantic crossing for the U.S. Navy Department. On May 6, 3 Navy Curtiss flying boats, the NC-1, NC-3, and NC-4, commanded by Lieutenant Commander Bellinger and Commanders Towers and Reed, took off from Far Rockaway Station, Long Island, New York, on the 1,000-mile flight to Trepassey Bay. On the way to Newfoundland, the 3 aircraft encountered bad weather. NC-4 developed engine trouble and made an emergency landing in the water about 100 miles from Chatham, Massachusetts. The other 2 planes reached Halifax, Nova Scotia in 19 hours, leaving the next day for Trepassey. On May 8th, they were ordered to proceed to the Azores. Bad weather forced Reed to land at Fayal in the Azores after a flight of 1,380 miles. Finally, after a week's delay due to weather, Commander Reed and his NC-4 flew 925 miles to Lisbon in 9 hours and 45 minutes. Flying time for the entire 2,400 miles was 25 hours and 1 minute. 2 weeks after the Curtiss flight, 2 Englishmen, John Alcock and Arthur Whitten Brown, made the first non-stop transatlantic flight. They flew from Newfoundland to Ireland in 16 hours and 12 minutes and won the 10,000-pound Daily Mail Prize. On August 25, 1919, the world's first daily commercial air service started, connecting London to Paris in a 2.5-hour flight. Also in 1919, Gianni Caproni of Italy built the first transatlantic passenger airplane, the GA-60. This plane was powered by 8 engines with a total of 3,000 horsepower. Its empty weight was over 30,000 pounds, and it could carry a load of over 26,000 pounds. Its height was more than 30 feet, its length over 70 feet, and its wingspan was over 90 feet. It could carry 100 passengers comfortably at an average speed of almost 80 miles per hour. After a few initial flights, it crashed, and because of the rebuilding and maintenance costs, the project was abandoned. On January 8, 1920, Arturo Fararin took off from Rome and flew across Russia, Siberia, Tibet, China, and India, finally reaching Tokyo on March 11th after flying over 11,000 miles in 109 hours. The Japanese chopped down valuable trees in a national park to prepare an airport for him. The honors that the Japanese bestowed on him lasted 42 days. His airplane is displayed in the National Museum of Tokyo. In November 1923, the Italian pilot, Francesco J. Pinedo, returned to Italy in his hydroplane Savoia Marchetti S-16, nicknamed the Geniaiello. His 370-hour trip from Italy to Australia to Tokyo covered a distance of 33,000 miles and included 80 stops. In 1926, Commander Richard Byrd and his pilot, Floyd Bennett, were the first men to fly over the North Pole in the Josephine Ford, a Fokker triplane. They had to navigate without a compass, since this instrument is not usable close to the magnetic pole. In addition, they did not have ground navigational reference points. To add to their problems, the airplane began to lose power from one of the engines on May 9th at 9:02 a.m. Nevertheless, 16 hours after takeoff, the Josephine Ford landed safely at the original departure point of Kings Bay, Spitsbergen. In the reception committee were the Norwegians and Italians, who 3 days later were to fly above the North Pole in their dirigible Norge. At 9:50 a.m. on May 11, 1926, the dirigible Norge left Kings Bay with a crew of 16 men, commanded by the Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen and his Italian companion Umberto Nobile. The Norge was a dirigible of a semi-rigid type, carrying over 600,000 cubic feet of hydrogen. It had a length of 347 feet, a height of 85 feet, and a maximum speed of 60 miles per hour. At 1:13 p.m. on May 11th, the Norge crossed the North Pole. The crew placed two flags, the Italian and the Norwegian. Flying at an average altitude of 2,500 feet against storms and fog, and at an average speed of 50 miles per hour, the Norge reached Nome, Alaska on May 14th.